Hey, what's up guys? Gary coming back to you here from the shop at the Oldbarn Homestead, and thought I'd just show you a couple of things today. I was about to get going here and get some stuff done, but I was going through some packages that had come in. You know, I get packages here all the time, you know, several times a week, just paint supplies, various things that I order. Sometimes people send me stuff, sometimes people send me stuff to work on. So anyway, I usually go through those in the morning and see what all I got. But I had decided to try some Eastwood epoxy primer, and I'm curious if anybody has tried any of the Eastwood paint products. They sell quite a few different things. You know, they sell clear and several different colors of base and so forth. And I think they've got a 2K primer. They've got this epoxy primer. I've been using for years the Omni epoxy primer. And you know, because you can get it at the local, I can get it at the local paint store, and it mixes 2 to 1, and I usually put about 10% acetone in there to get it to spray out of a 1.3 tip, try to get it to lay out a little smoother, because I kind of use it as a base as well as a primer. So, and I use a lot of white. You know, pretty much everything I paint that's white I use epoxy primer for. So epoxy primer, let it flash off or cure for 2 to 3 days, shrink up a little bit, and then clear right over the top of it. No scuffing or anything, just tack it off, and it's still in the recoat window for a recoat. So anyway, I use a lot of the white. And anyway, so the Omni is about, I think it's about $60 for a quart of the 2 to 1 mix, so you get a 1.5 quarts sprayable out of it, a little bit more by the time I add the acetone to it. This is 1 to 1 mix, so you basically get 2 gallons sprayable out of this, and it was about $130 including shipping to my door, somewhere in that range. So quite a bit of savings, and I don't know why I didn't do that longer. I don't know. Part of it, I like using the local paint store because, you know, I want them to know who I am, and when I really do need something, you know, or need a favor or need something rushed or whatever, then I'm not just some random guy coming in off the street, you know, that I've been a customer there. So, but anyway, I'm gonna check this out, see how it works out. I'd be curious to see what you guys think about it, if anybody's used it out there, or any of the Eastwood paint products. And I think they sell Bondo and you know, a lot of stuff like that. So I'm sure it's somebody else's product that they've rebranded. But I'll take a quick minute to tell a quick story about Eastwood customer service compared to Quincy customer service. Here it is a week later from when they ordered the pump, and I still haven't heard from them. I don't know what the status of it is. You know, I'm gonna have to call them today to see if they got it ordered and when it's gonna be here, when a tech's gonna show up. We're going on 3 months now, you know, something like that. I don't know the exact amount. Maybe I'm exaggerating because it just seems like it's longer. I'd have to go back and look to see when I placed the original call with them, but it's been quite a while. Anyway, so I call up Eastwood to tell them about this, which is my, you know, I've got the Eastwood TIG 200, and I think it's the first generation. I've had it for probably 3 or 4 years now, maybe going on 4 years, I think. I don't really know for sure, but at least 3. And it comes with a really, you know, kind of a cheap looking pedal that your whole foot doesn't rest on it. You just, you know, keep your heel on the ground and press down with your, you know, with your toes basically. And you end up just chasing the pedal all over the place because it wants to shoot it out, you know. And so it developed a problem with a short in the line where you have to get this thing at the right angle to be able to use the pedal. So last year I called up and ordered this upgraded pedal that they sell as an upgrade to their welders, and it's not cheap. I think it was over, I want to say it might have been close to $200, but I don't know that for sure. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's close to $200. Well, a couple weeks ago, this pedal started doing the same thing. And so I called him up and said, hey, I got one of your upgraded pedals. And you know, it's the same thing. I took it apart to see if I could see any kind of wiring issue on the inside. I took the cover off of it, and it all looks good, just like the other one did. So it's got some kind of fracture in the wire right here, you know, where it comes into that connection. It's nothing on the inside of it, because it just, you can move it around, keep moving it, and find a place where it'll come on. It's just aggravating, you know, to you're ready to weld something, you press the pedal and you don't get anything. So then you're screwing around with it. It's just a pain. But so I call up Eastwood, tell them about it, and they're like, oh, okay, well, let me check, you know. So they're able to pull up and find where I bought it in July of last year, and it has a 1-year warranty on it. And without me saying anything, without me saying, you know, hey, I've got a YouTube channel, I make hundreds of videos featuring your welder in it, I didn't say a word about that. They said, we'll go ahead and send you another one. They didn't say, you know, you've been a great customer. They just said, yeah, you've had it over a year, the warranty's just 1 year, but I'll go ahead and get you another one out. Boom, just no questions asked. And I haven't gotten it yet, but I expect it to be here any day, you know, in the next day or two. I really do want to buy a nicer welder. This one works good and does what I need. The only thing it doesn't have is pulse that I'd like to have. And I think some of them have a little nicer start than this one has. If you guys have heard in my videos how the start on this thing is, it really pops, you know, when it lights up, even at a low amperage. And when you're trying to weld something really thin, I think it could be better served with a little bit of a lower frequency start. But compare that to Quincy. Here it is, you know, an $8,000 compressor. This is a $200 pedal that they could care less about, but it's just the concept of treating your customers well, no matter what it is they bought. You know, an $8,000 air compressor, and they're doing everything in their power to try to prove that it's, you know, something I did. Maybe it is something I did, but it's not evident by looking at all the stuff, you know, and just dragging it out and out and out. And it's what a difference between one experience versus the other, Quincy versus Eastwood, and the philosophy of customer service. And I've always had that with Eastwood. I don't buy a lot of stuff from them. I have bought things here and there over the years, you know, various restoration parts and various things, tools and things that they sell that are kind of neat. Some of it's, you know, okay, some of it is good, but their customer service and answering the phone and, you know, shipping orders, all that is excellent. Speaking of excellent, the last thing I wanted to give you guys an update on is, let me zoom you in here and let's take a closer look at this thing. This little beauty that my friend Reed Eichner sent me. A lot of you guys probably may know Reed. Some of you do. If you're a YouTube creator, you probably get comments from him. He's really active on the YouTube fabricators and machinists. And in one of my videos, I was talking about, you know, not being comfortable sliding my hand TIG welding, that I don't really get good welds. And I was talking about, you know, pivoting my hand instead of sliding it along. You know, because like if you're sliding it along the edge of the table or whatever you're sliding it on, it's easy to get it caught up, and wherever you stutter, you're going to see it in the weld. And that's one thing about TIG welding. In some ways it's kind of forgiving, but in other ways it's not as forgiving as MIG welding, because you can have little small minute, you know, changes in the way your hand position is going, and it doesn't really show up in the weld. But TIG welding, it's so much detail, the welds are smaller and clean, and, you know, and all that, that any little imperfection shows up, especially if the rest of the weld is nice and you got one little, you know, jagged area in it, it stands out. So anyway, Reed was saying that he had made one of these for himself a long time ago, and that he uses it all the time and finds it useful. One thing, and he had told me he was going to make me one, and I was like, that's awesome, man. I'd love that. And I even said maybe this can be something I would turn into a kit, you know, and use his design, the Reed Eichner design, the RED TIG welding prop, you know, hand rest, whatever. But it's got a lot of adjustability on it. So this looks like 1 inch here to me, and I don't know if this is DOM tubing here that he used and you know, and turned it, or if it's just solid and he bored it out or what, but it's all stainless. You know, it's got the adjustment screws on it where you can adjust the height, and you've got a little pad here that you can adjust the angle on, you know, and the position of that. Just gives you a lot of control, you know, to put this where you want it. I guarantee you this is going to stay on this welding table, and like you see in the background over there, that one catches a lot of, it's got all the extra clamps and things that I use, and I grab them when I need it. You know, depending on what I'm welding, sometimes I use both tables together or whatever, but this one is going to stay here on this table, you know, and so you can swing it around that way. Now, one thing, Reed has sent me several things. And these are the original clamps, the F clamps I bought for this table. And I always thought that this table was the 5/8 inch holes, but it's not. And I've always noticed how these have been kind of loose in here, but they work, you know, they do, you know, they just kind of rock themselves back, and they're probably actually elongating the hole a little bit because of the way I'm using it. And I don't ever clamp anything down like super tight. But as it turns out, I think that this table actually has the 16mm holes on it instead of the 5/8, and I don't know the math on 16mm, but it's a little bit, you know, 5/8 is 625 thousandths. These might be 635. So, you know, it's got some movement to it. And again, it's my fault. I should have, when he said he was going to make it, I should have pointed that out, because I did figure that out at some point, that I had the 16mm holes. But he turned all this on the lathe, just beautiful machine work, you know, some really nice chamfered edges on it. You know, his TIG welding on the connection points are just, they're really nice. They're beautiful, beautiful welds. Of course, welding stainless is always, you know, it's let me just say, it's easier to produce a nice weld, but it still takes some skill. It's just beautiful work. A little flat tray there made out of some, looks like 2-inch stainless flat bar, and he has brushed that and got a nice, you know, maybe a Scotch Brighted finish on this. It's just, it's beautiful work, in addition to being extremely functional. So there's no problem on that. I can just go face this off on the lathe and turn down another shoulder that's a little bit bigger. I'll get the diameter and double check that. In fact, I have some lathe inserts that a company sent me that they've been, you know, sent me a long time ago. I've been meaning to make a video on it. So that might be something that I can make a quick video for them, showing their inserts and do this. But you guys let me know if you think this would be a viable kit, you know, where I would just, you know, cut all the pieces and have them pre-cut, and, you know, be able to ship these out and you just weld it together, you know, drill and tap your holes and weld it together. And maybe even sell it as a finished kit, you know. And this would be the red, the Reed Eichner designed prop rest. And so if I saw this out there and it was, you know, a reasonable price, and I could, you know, put it together in 30 minutes or an hour, do the work on it and get it going, I'd definitely buy it, no doubt about it. And I'm sure other people probably would as well. Maybe I can make a version of it that's got a you know, a flat bar on the bottom of it, so that if you're using it on a, you know, a traditional table like this one, you know, maybe a flat bar with some holes in it so that it can be bolted down, or, you know, if you just want to put clamps on it, you know, and that way you could use it on the edge of a regular table that didn't have holes in it. So, get you back around here. Sorry about the shaky cam. Anyway, Reed, I really do appreciate this, man. Reed has just been a great friend, and always got positive comments and good ideas. He's been doing fabrication work for a long time. He's got a really nice fab shop with a Build Pro table, and he just built some cool stuff and all. He's not on YouTube, but he does. He's active on Instagram and Facebook as well. So posting some of his work and projects and things. But anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. Just a big shout out to Reed. You're definitely going to see this in a lot of videos. And let me know what you think about turning that into a kit, if that's something that you think anybody would want to buy. And, you know, I was thinking that this is stainless, and, you know, stainless is very expensive. and it's, you know, it's hard to work with as well. You know, just a lot more consumables and cutting it up and all that. So maybe I would make a stainless version and a mild steel version. You know, when you're welding around mild steel, you're gonna get, it's gonna kind of want to rust up on you, you know, just because of just the exposure. But anyway, all right, guys, I'll let you go on this one. See you.